Okay, so maybe I can start with my opening remarks, and by that we also wait a little bit more. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to our joint Fuels-C Flexby webinar on feedstock mobilization. My name is Ruben Mendes, and I'm a project manager at Magellan Circle, Portugal. And we are the communication and dissemination partners in the Fuels-C project. We are delighted to co-host this event with the Flexby project, and particularly with the CO2 Valley Europe, which leads the clustering activities in the Flexby project. So today's focus is both practical and kind of a proof of concept. Both projects, Flexby and Fuels-C, completed about a year and a half of work by now, and the feedstock mobilization and characterization is one of the more advanced activities. Because of that, today we will try to cover a few aspects. I would say that one is the aspect of converting early mapping into go and no-go criteria for candidate feedstocks. We will also try to understand a little bit of the aspect of stabilizing supply and the quality for our pilot works, and also understanding issues related with the cost aware and comparative choices between the feedstocks. It's quite interesting because these two projects tackle the same issues in two very different manners. We also invited ENERGO Green, a private company that works with sustainable biofuels, and that we thank a lot for accepting this challenge. They will explore a little bit with us some of these thematics during the roundtable. It is also important to note that these projects are research and innovation actions under the Horizon Europe, which means that you are not going to see close-ended solutions or very high TRL solutions, but this is an ongoing work that aims to advance innovation in these thematics at lower TRLs. Regarding the format today, we will start with the concise project snapshots, both by Fuels-C and Flexby. Then we will move into a moderated roundtable, and we will take some of the questions. So we will have the Q&A. Please, you can place the questions whenever you want during the session. You can start now using the Q&A box at any time, and we will group the questions by thematics, and we will try to answer some of them in the Q&A. And if not possible, we will address these questions throughout the next months through our social media that we push you to follow. Many thanks to all the speakers for you to joining, and also to remind everyone that both Fuels-C and Flexby receive funding by the European Commission through the Horizon Europe program. So starting with our first presentation by Eduard Borràs from Leitat about the Fuels-C project.
Okay, thanks, Ruben. Let me share a screen. So, can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can, Eva.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Nuria. So, my name is Eduard Borràs. I work in Leitat as area manager in the bioelectrochemical technologies area in the circular economy and decarbonization department, and I'm coordinating the project Fuels-C. The title is an integrated platform of novel, cost, and energy-efficient conversion technologies, producing liquid and gaseous biofuels from sustainable biogenic residues validated for direct use in fuel cells. This is a long title, as usually, but what I wanted to explain Here it's, as Ruben mentioned, it's a project funded by the European Union under the Horizon Europe funding scheme, also co-funded by the UK Research and Innovation Council. And the project started right last year on June 2024 and will last until November 2027. And it's a sister project with Flexby and two other funded projects. And apart from this long title, I want you to have, let's say, the basic concept of the project, that at the end, it's a project that aims to take biogenic residues and CO2 and convert them in an efficient manner into four different target fuels, in this case, methane, ammonia, ethanol, and formic acid. The idea is that we can use the four fuels in direct transport applications, but with a substantial difference respect to conventional transport modes. So we are tackling the use of fuel cells instead of combustion engines. To develop this project, we are 11 partners from all across Europe with different profiles, ranging from RTOs, universities, SMEs, and large companies. And we try to, let's say, develop different aspects to implement this concept, ranging from technical developments to tools for the assessment of these new conversion processes. So let me explain more in detail what the project is about, or the project concept. Basically, what we have done is divide in different pillars. The first pillar that we are tackling within the project is devoted to the mapping of the different biogenic feedstocks, including the residual CO2 and the renewable energy sources that we are utilizing to convert these biogenic feedstocks into the final fuels. And then after this pilot, then I will later on in the presentation, I will explain more on our how we are tackling the feedstocks. Once we have the feedstocks, we have two different conversion routes, so the pillar 2 and pillar 3. In pillar 3, we have what we call the production route that takes advantage of the biodegradable biogenic residues. So it's the route that is utilizing anaerobic digestion together with two different bioelectrochemical reactors to produce methane and ammonia out of organic wastes that can undergo or are biodegradable. The other pillar, number 2, is devoted to the conversion of the non-biodegradable residues, so that ones that need to go through gasification. Initially, we foresee a gasification, and out of this syngas, together with CO2 coming from different industrial of gases, we introduce these gases in two different reactors. One is an electrofermentation or a microbial electrosynthesis to produce ethanol, and the other one is an electrolyzer that is, let's say, devoted to the conversion of these gases into formic acid. Apart from these two main pillars, so pillar 3 and 2, that are, let's say, the core or the technical core within the project, we also foresee two other pillars. In pillar 4, we are assessing the use of these four fuels for the direct use in fuel cells for maritime and road transport. And finally, we have pillar 5, that is more devoted to different aspects related to digitalization, assessment, and replication. And apart from this concept, we want to go forward, and we are also utilizing different tools like a mapping tool, also different digital twins that allow us to, let's say, model in an in silico way the integrated process, and it allows us to calculate different aspects like costs, life cycle assessment, life cycle costing, and at the end we can see how let's say this train of technologies allow us to convert more efficiently the different biogenic sources into the fuels and assess in different scenarios how, let's say, feasible in terms of costing, but also in other aspects like sustainability aspects, the feasibility of these conversion processes. We initially foresee this let's say the evaluation of this conversion these integrated conversion technologies in different scenarios, but we also foresee within the project the replication scenarios under 4 different regions across Europe. If we go to the implementation, the project is following a quite common structure where we have a work package that is devoted to project management and scientific coordinator that is led by us in Leitat. Then work package 2 that is related to the assessment for the development, testing, and scaling up of the processes that is led by Blue Energy from Italy. When it comes to fuels production, we have split it in 2 different work packages. In work package 3, Vito is leading the production of formic acid and ethanol, so the fuels that are devoted to road transport. And in work package 4, it's us Leitat that we are leading the production of methane and ammonia for maritime transport fuels. SIA from France is leading the testing, so the use of biofuels in fuel cells with a close collaboration with CNR. And also I want to mention that SIA is also collaborating in work package 3 in the gasification, and also in work package 3 we have the University of Girona in developing the ethanol production process. As regards to what I mentioned, that let's say the environmental, social, and techno-economic assessment. So when it comes to let's say the digital twin construction, the different models that describe all the processes and how we integrate everything together to make the different assessments. We have the University of Burgos leading this work package in close collaboration with the rest of the partners. And finally, we have in work package 7 all the communication, dissemination, and exploitation activities led by Magellan Circle together with IOD utilities. And as we are having this workshop more devoted to the feedstocks, I wanted to briefly introduce what we are doing in work package 2 regarding the let's say the feedstock quantification and how we envisaged initially in the project the identification of the different feedstocks. Initially, the objectives that we have for the feedstocks is to identify both the renewable biogenic feedstocks that can be utilized for the work package 3 and work package 4. So the biogenic feedstocks that can undergo biodegradation routes or gasification routes. And then we construct a database locating the different different residues, also link it to regional analysis, and then we quantified how the feedstocks and the variations, let's say the annual variations of these feedstocks. We used a GIS mapping tool to integrate all this database into, let's say, a special database. And then we identified the demand at local scale of these biofuels. And for this part, it's FACSA and Blue Energy that are collaborating in the development of this task. If we go more in detail on what has been done so far in the mapping tool for the route 1, so let's say the biodegradable residues conversion processes, we have tackled or gone through different types of feedstocks that can be considered to undergo this anaerobic digestion, followed by electrochemical technologies conversion. We have gone through different feedstocks that are available at different regions in Europe and gone through different conditions, and also the availability and how easy for us in Fuels-C is to get get some of these samples. We wanted to make sure that the biodegradability is high for the selected residues, and there is a total solids concentration that it's low to medium, in a way that we can guarantee a minimum or a viscosity of the system that is available for the anaerobic digestion, and we don't suffer from clogging or other stuff. So in this way, we selected 3 different types of residues, in this case sewage sludge, pig manure, and wastewater from a sweeter from a candy industry. If we go to the gasification, we also went through the different feedstocks available. We also wanted to make sure that they are non-biodegradable. So we selected the sludge coming out of an anaerobic digestion process, rejected plastic fraction from a urban treatment plant, and forestry residues from pruning waste. And with these 6 selected residues, we went to different regions all across Europe with different characteristics in terms of the most abundant feedstock that we have, the population, so the density of inhabitants per surface, it's different, and we characterize how many feedstocks are available in these areas. You can see in this slide how the GIS mapping tool that we have represents the different types of feedstocks that we are considering for our conversion processes, represented in an area. It's the eastern coast in Spain, the Levante area, where we have characterized the availability of these 4 different feedstocks that we have available in this area. And I think I'm running out of time, so I just wanted to let you know that we are quite active in social media. You can follow us on our website, on our Twitter account, and LinkedIn webpage. And it's here just a page, a picture of us, the Fuels-C consortium, in the kickoff meeting. And that is all from our side.
Many thanks, Eduard. Just to remind everyone that you have the Q&A section, so you can make your questions already. And now I will pass the torch to Nuria Lorenzo, which is the project coordinator of the Flexby project.
Thanks, Ruben. I will share my screen. 1 second. Okay. Can you see the screen? Great. So I'm Nuria Ferrera from IDENER. I'm very pleased to be here today and to introduce you to Flexby. I would like to express my gratitude to the organizing team to give me the opportunity to be here and explain our project. And essentially, Flexby stands for Flexible Biogenic System for Sustainable Biofuels, and it's part of the European effort to unlock the next generation of non-food waste-based feedstock for advanced biofuel productions. So let me just give you some about the importance of looking for a new feedstock. And it is because today about 60 to 70% of biofuel feedstock still compete with food production and agricultural land, which clearly limits the long-term sustainability, and also at the same time developing cost-effective pathway to minimize carbon waste and biogenic gas emissions in biofuels production is still in an early stage. So it's clear that it are really need for innovation here, and this is why the European directive, like the Renewable Energy Directive 3 or Fit for 55, are looking for a decisive shift toward waste-based and non-feedstock. And this is exactly where Flexby aim to achieve. Basically, we are working to turn industrial residues and also microalgae cultivated in wastewater into a valuable feedstock. So this is basically the general concept of Flexby, producing sustainable biofuels and using an innovative, cost-efficient microwave-assisted pyrolysis process. And the idea is looking for a cleaner process with lower emissions. And this is why we are trying to reduce all the streams that we are obtaining in the process. We cut biogenic emissions. And the idea is to nearly achieve the net zero discharge. And this is basically where we also apply the life cycles assessment. And we try to reduce all the byproducts of the streams. Regarding what is the project, what is the consortium, we are 10 partners from 5 countries with a budget of nearly 4 million euros and a duration of 4 years that cover multidisciplinary disciplines. 1 large enterprise, 4 SMEs, 2 universities, 2 research and technology organizations, and also 1 non-profit association that works together in the different technologies of the process, the project. And this is basically the general concept, the general diagram of the Flexby project. We will start with our feedstock, which is the industrial sewage sludge and also the microalgae that is subjected to a microwave pyrolysis. And in the microwave pyrolysis, we will obtain 3 different fractions. One of the fractions is the biochar that can be used as fertilizer, but also can be reused within the process due to an activated process to finally obtain activated carbon that can be used as supporting materials in the catalytic process. We also obtained a bioliquid fraction, which is basically the core of the Flexby project, of the Flexby fraction of the project, that is subjected to hydrogen-free iodooxygenation to obtain the different types of biofuels. And also we obtain a pyrogas fraction that is also subjected to a steep and CO2 reforming and then a water gas shift reactions to obtain the biohydrogen. And all of these biofuels, different type of biofuels that is with a special focus in the heavy transport biofuels can be tested in a solid exhaustive fuels cell to obtain electricity, to generate electricity. All the processes in any case feed by photovoltaic energy. And this is basically the value proposition, the integration of multiple advanced technologies with a near zero discharge process. Flexby is obviously it's a flexible biofuel production process since we changed some of the condition of the process and we are able to obtain different type of advanced biofuels. This is why we call the custom designed catalytic process. And also, this is a negative carbon emission process as well, because we remove emissions related to the hydrogen production. Also, we use the renewable energy to power the process. And also because the microalgae biomass that we have has the capability to sequester CO2. And the biochar also increases the crop efficiency and is directly related to the sequestering the soil-related CO2. And regarding the type of feedstock, because the focus on this webinar is basically the feedstock, we have selected in the project 6 feedstock. The feedstock 1 and 2 are basically microalgae biomass that are cultivated in in a pilot scale system in a wastewater treatment plant. Also, we have as feedstock 3 and 4 sewage sludge that is coming from the microalgae processing industry for the obtention of agar-agar. And also the feedstock 5 and 6, which is basically oily sludge obtaining from the dairy industry. So how we manage this feedstock, how we characterize this feedstock? Basically, the parentage of the characterization of this feedstock is CSIC, okay? And basically, when the sample came to the facilities of CSIC, the sample were registered. The 6 samples supplied were dried also in a first aid oven at 40 degrees to remove the water content. And also then the samples were ground for physicochemical characterizations. The different characterization that we performed for the samples were water content analysis, the ultimate NaOH content analysis, volatile matter, chlorine and potassium content, also the heating value, the ash melting point, and the thermogravimetric analysis, and also the dielectric properties that are useful for the microwave pyrolysis process. And the conclusions after doing all of these analysis is basically that feedstock 1, 2, 6, and 6, which are basically the feedstock coming from the microalgae cultivated in wastewater, and also the oily sludge from the dairy industry, are good candidates for the process, align very well with the project's goals because contain a high carbon content, and also allow moderate ash content, and a high volatile content in the range of 60 and 80%. And considering that we aim to obtain to maximize the biofuel production, the most suitable candidates are this one. So, with respect to the TRL evolution, in the project we moved from the TRL 3 to the TRL 5, basically. We started in a proof of concept, a design and a characterization of the feedstock and design of the process, and then we started with the lab scale testing at the different technology provider facilities, and then we will make the upscaling of the process. And the idea is basically to integrate all the different systems that are already validated and also optimized using multidisciplinary design optimization and digital twin to have a lab scale prototype integration at the University of Seville. Sorry. Okay. With respect to our current positions and the distribution and implementation of the project, we are in month 19. That means that at this moment we have 5 active web packages. The web package of management, which is an horizontal web package together with the sustainability assessment and also with exploitation and dissemination and communication. But we are in the middle of the technical activities related to the microwave pyrolysis and also the advanced biofuel production. The web packet 2 already finished, which is basically the Flexby requirements, and also include the feedstock characterizations. And during the next year, we will start with the optimization and upscaling to have, as I said before, this integrator in a trial 5 at the University of Seville. So basically, our main technical achievement until now is the characterization of the feedstock, the design of the systems, the microalgae cultivation. This is ongoing during the entire execution of the project because we need the biomass that are cultivated for the process. The microwave design is already finished. The microwave assembling is still ongoing. And the microwave testing that will start directly when the microwave system we're assembling in the coming months. The catalyst design is already finished. The sustainability assessment is ongoing, and the optimization activities, as I said before, and the tier 5, which is scaling up, will start it the next year. And that's bring to me to the end of this short overview of the Flexby project. As you have seen, Flexby is not only about producing advanced biofuel. It's about redefining how we use waste, transforming the residues into resource. Let me remind that you can follow our progress on the Flexby website and social media channel. And of course, feel free to contact me directly if you would like to know more or explore collaboration opportunities. And thanks very much for your attention.
Many thanks, Nuria. I saw that we have already a question that we will be able to tackle in the Q&A after the roundtable. So we can move forward to the roundtable, and I will call Eduard, that will be our moderator. Also Gracia, that is the responsible for the feedstock work in the Fuels-C project. Tomas, that is the responsible in the Flexby project, and also Marion, which is coming from the ENERGO grid. So please.
Hello again. So thanks for the introduction, Ruben. And now it's time for this roundtable about how we mobilize sustainable feedstocks in the Fuels-C and Flexby projects, and how we can identify synergies, or how we tackle different aspects of the feedstocks management in the two projects. But also we want to include the perspective of an external expert to the projects to let's say open the questions and have another perspective. And before starting, I would like the three speakers to introduce themselves. Maybe we can start with Tomas Ramírez from the University of Seville.
Yeah, thank you, Eduard. Pleased to be here today. This is Tomas. I'm a professor of inorganic chemistry and catalysis at the University of Seville, and I'm one of the technical work package leader in Flexby. So pleasure to be here. Happy to contribute.
Okay, thanks, Tomas. And now, Gracia, if you can introduce yourself.
Hello, Eduard. Yes, I am Gracia. I am research and innovation technician in FACSA. And thank you.
Okay, and last, and sorry for my pronunciation in French, Marion Guillevic from ENERGO, if you can introduce yourself.
Right, maybe it's better like that. Thank you. I'm Marion Guillevic. I have a chemical engineering background, and I'm in charge of the business development of ENERGO. And I'm delighted to be here today and to talk about ENERGO's activities.
Okay, perfect. So let's start with asking questions on maybe this first initial question that I had on mind was more focused for Fuels-C and Flexby, but Marion, feel free to also share your ideas on this. My first question was on the go or no go criteria, which that I wanted to know how the two projects tackle this idea on how you are selecting the feedstocks for, let's say, the laboratory or the pilot works. So how you are selecting in terms of the availability or seasonability, if you have any limit quality or like, let's say, some limiting parameter for the different processes that you are considering, if it has like met a difficulty in selection, and well, if it has somehow affected the selection criteria and or the feedstocks that you were initially considering at the end when you had to deliver the feedstocks to the partner responsible for the conversion, you had to change something from this initial idea. So I don't know if Tomas or Gracia want to start. on this?
I make a quick start. Actually, I will get into the technical details later, but the short answer for this big question in FlexBy at least is go local, right? So we are trying to source local biomasses, local bio residues, because we don't think that it makes a lot of sense to really transport biomass long distances. You will end up producing CO2 in the transport, right? So we are trying to find a circular process. So we are sourcing or trying to get as local as possible. For instance, we are getting the residues from dairy industry in the north of Spain, and they are being processed in the very same city, in Oviedo, right? So go local for us is one of our go criteria, if you want.
Yes, I think selecting the most suitable feedstock is not easy. Not easy because depend of a lot of criteria. And in addition, there's the priority to application these criteria will be different in different occasions. In some situations, sometimes availability could be the first criteria, but in other occasions, the chemical composition could be the main factor to select one feedstock or another. But for me, one thing we have to take in account is what is the technology, what are we are going to use to produce biofuels or to study these technologies, because for me, there is a clear classification because there are biological technologies. In this case, you need feedstock with high biodegradability, with high organic matter like anaerobic digestion. In other cases, in thermal technologies like gasification or pyrolysis, you need feedstock with low biodegradability, but you need other requirements like high dryness. But a part of this classification, in function of the technology, among the other criteria, I'm agree with Thomas. For me, the most important criteria is availability, because the kind and the quantities of feedstock that you can find depend strongly on the geographical area, the region you are in. For example, in a same country, not is the same the feedstock that you can find in rural than in urban areas. In rural areas, you can find high availability of feedstocks from generated in agriculture activity or in pig farms or in animal farms. And while in urban areas, there is a high population density and is expected to find feedstocks from municipal waste, for example, sewage sludge from industrial or municipal origin, or organic fraction of municipal solid waste, etc. In European level, if we are thinking at European level, different countries, different regions, we can find different feedstocks, because the feedstocks availability depends on the economic activity specific in these specific regions. I think the availability is is the criteria most important. But for example, for me, the physical chemical characteristics is to other criteria to take in account, because there are some feedstocks that show some inhibitory compounds that can produce a reduction in the performance of your technology, and of course we need to consider too.
Yeah.
Go, Tomas.
No, I was going to say just to be more specific and building up on Gracia's comment, which I totally agree. I need to wear the hat of the guy doing the downstreaming processing, right? And some of the characteristics we need are chemical composition. In particular, we don't like heavy metals. We don't like chlorine in the feedstock, because that will corrode the reactors for downstreaming processing. We keep an eye on the content of oxygen. This is one of the key parameters. Obviously, we need to keep an eye on carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, elemental composition. The more hydrogen, the merrier for us, because we are targeting in FlexBy a biohydrogen stream that will be fed up in a fuel cell. But also oxygen is one of the key elements we also monitor, because that will decrease our heating value, the initial feedstock. So in Flexby, we try to sort out the feedstocks with the lower oxygen content, even though we do have a hydrodeoxygenation process, so a chemical process to remove oxygen to refine that liquid fuel. But I would say oxygen content is also one of the key parameters for us in Flexby.
Yeah, those comments bring me to a question. So you've talked about the availability and of the feedstocks and make it local. But there is this question of the seasonability. So how the availability of the feedstocks vary over the year, and maybe you can find like situations that there is a scarcity of the feedstock, and you need to have alternative feedstocks. I don't know if in both projects you have considered this variable of the need to go for alternative feedstocks to the, let's say, the most optimal feedstocks for the processes, and go for suboptimal feedstocks and consider them in this initial conversion processes usage.
We are indeed facing that in Flexby. Actually, it's part of our everyday routine, because as Nuria presented before, we have a continuous cultivation of microalgae, because availability is an issue and it takes time for them to grow up, and that's an issue. So that's why we explore multiple feedstocks, and as a backup option, we've got the dairy industry. And as you know, in the north of Spain, we produce dairy products every single day. So the availability in that sense is much better than when it comes to microalgae, for example.
I think that the sustainability is a situation that can happen more in agriculture waste, for example, cereal straw. But I think we can apply some treatment to maintain the condition during cold year. For example, the ensilage is a typical treatment to maintain this kind of residues during the year to feeding the animals. The same pre-treatment we can apply to maintain the condition of our feedstock during cold year. I think the seasonality we have to take account, but I think the impact of the seasonality is the treatment to maintain it, because it's a extra cost that you can consider in your economic viability of our solution. I think.
Can I poke Marion for a second, because
the big problem of the seasonality, I think.
Great.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, well, I wanted to poke Marion for a second, because they do plasma valorization of the feedstock, if I remember well. One of the issues we encounter, and sure Gracia is also encountering that in their project, is the moisture content, right? I wonder how your plasma technology gets affected by moisture content, because I guess you will need to spend some energy also on heating up that water. I don't know. I wanna hear your views on how ENERGO tackles this.
Yeah. Of course, yes. So maybe I can tell something more about ENERGO, because
Please,
I don't know if
Marion, feel free.
Just before answering the question. Just to be simple, ENERGO has developed an innovative technology, as you mentioned, based on plasma catalysis that is used to convert gases. By gases, I mean CO2, methane, biogas, syngas, whatever of gases, into molecules of interest, such as hydrogen, methane, methanol. It can also be used to upgrade gas composition, so that the gas can be rejected in the industrial process. Just to be also more focused, we develop our own catalyst, we design our reactor, and we have developed several applications in our testing facilities located in the north of France. And today, the heart of ENERGO strategy is to produce methanol out of biogas. On this one, we started up a demonstrator last year, and we have invested in our first industrial unit following our fundraising last year. So it is quite interesting, your question, because in fact, plasma catalysis, one of the advantages of plasma catalysis is the resistance to pollutants. By pollutants, I mean what is not reactive for the application. So moisture, let's say water, can be a pollutant, but what happens inside the reactor, in fact, most of the pollutants are dissociated at the surface of the catalyst under the effect of the plasma, and we are performing also steam reforming. So moisture for us is not an issue. Water can also be a reactant, and due to the plasma, in fact, we can tolerate, let's say, higher amount of contaminant or pollutants compared, let's say, to typical thermal technology. So it's quite interesting because it can reduce the need of pretreatment upstream a reactor. So we can talk, but depending on the amount of water and what you want to do after, we can do a lot of things. And if there are, and I don't speak about moisture, but if there are too many pollutants, we can also install oxidation unit, so that prior to the conversion of the gas, so that to come to acceptable concentration rate in the gas we want to convert.
Great, it's a beautiful technology. It's a non-thermal plasma, right?
It's a DBD, dielectric barrier discharge. So it's a cold plasma. We're working from 200 to 300 degrees and atmospheric pressure. So this is also interesting, depending on the full process. If you have to go, if you are low pressure, just upstream, you can also reduce the energy content of the full unit, full process chain.
Great.
Interesting. So I think that this brings us to another question regarding the feedstock stability and the need of pretreatment, because that was a remaining question that I was seeing, that as we can accumulate some of the feedstocks for there are some logistics aspects related to the feedstocks, and when we are talking about highly biodegradable feedstocks, or non-biodegradable or polluted feedstocks, the need for specific pretreatments, like would be the case of this plasma technology by ENERGO. Have you tackled in both projects the need for pretreatment, or some of the technologies have like some requirements? I'm thinking of the need for blending with other residues, or adjusting the humidity content, or I don't know if in both cases, Tomas and Gracia, if you are tackling these issues.
Yeah, so for Flexby, I mean, we are implementing very simple processes for supporting stockpiling of feedstock. Obviously, we are in university labs. We cannot store here a ton of biomass, obviously. So what we do is to apply drying and milling processes. So we dry the biomass, eliminate moisture. We also do some milling processes to save space and facilitate the stockpiling of this feedstock.
I think the quality and composition of the feedstocks, for me, we have taken account that the feedstocks that we are usually using in our technologies, in fact, there are the subproducts, the waste generated in another main economic activity, and the priority of this main economic activity is not the priority is not the quality and composition of the feedstocks. Therefore, I think that the variation of the composition of the feedstocks is a thing is usually to find from one sample to another. But this variation could have different impact, and for me, to maintain this quality or to maintain the same quality to produce a biofuels with similar properties, I think we can apply different strategies to reduce the risk. For example, to try to sample always the feedstock in the same origin. If you are using seaweed slide, the ideal situation is to use always the same sample of in the same wastewater treatment plant, and maintain the same conditions of the treatments or the same condition of storage. For example, I think these are some strategies to maintain the quality or the quality of your feedstock from one sample to another.
Yeah, I think that are questions that are relevant to a project like ours that are research and innovation action projects. So basically, we are managing small quantities for our, let's say, bench scale and pilot scale activities, but are not like relevant industrial plants. And some questions that we need to tackle because we are using small amounts of these feedstocks and we have like logistics issues are questions that will differ from what actually in the real industrial plants will tackle. And maybe that is a question for Marion, if you have like seen these differences on how to deal with the feedstock when you change from bench scale to industrial scale.
You mean about the variation of the feedstock?
Yeah, exactly.
And variation of also flow rate also maybe. Okay. So as mentioned previously, we work on different type of gas. It can be biogas, syngas, and depending on the feedstock coming in the upstream system, not talking about the ENERGO unit, but unit generating the gas upstream, the quality can be the quality of the gas can vary in terms of composition, but also pollutants, and also in terms of flow rate. So as I mentioned before, the advantage of the plasma catalysis is resistant to pollutants. So I was speaking moisture, but it can be oxygen, nitrogen, H2S, volatile organic compounds. And as I mentioned before, all these are dissociated at the surface of the catalyst under the action of the plasma. So this is a good thing. And regarding the variation of flow rate, this is the case most of the time when we are just before going to, let's say, mature technology on the industrial scale, we can have a big variation of flow rate. Mm-hmm. And in terms of turn down, we can go, let's say, to few percent to 110%. And one thing about our reactor are modular. We put in parallel several reactors. Mm-hmm. So these reactors are connected. So in case of reduction of flow rate, depending on the operation of the unit upstream, we can isolate one or several of them if the flow rate comes below the turn down flow rate. So we really can accommodate our technology depending on the pollutants, because our catalysts are highly resistant, but we can also accommodate depending on the variation of the flow rate. Of course, we will isolate 1, 2, or 3 reactors, but it's to say just before the steady state of operation. But we are quite flexible on these parameters.
Great, good to know, because maybe it's one of the doubts that you have when you are working at a low scale or at low TRL, and when you want to like envisage how
Yeah.
the
This is
actual.
Yeah, and this is why we are quite confident. You know, each time we are developing an application, we do that first in our laboratories, and then we move to the testing whole facilities we have in the north of France. And there we have, let's say, a representative reactor of the future reactor that will be located in the industry at the industrial scale. So if it works on one reactor, it would work on several reactors put in parallel. So this is where when it works in our on our pilot or demonstrator, we do know that it will be quite okay in the future. This
It's
is
a
one
nice
of the
scaling up strategy, so you have a guarantee that it will work at the end.
yeah.
I'm,
We
I'm,
hope.
I'm very curious, Marion, because this workshop is more to do with feedstock, and one of the key aspects of plasma catalysis is to control selectivity. So how does the feedstock affect selectivity to the end product?
Yes, in fact, for each application, we have a dedicated catalyst. So we developed each catalyst depending on the, let's say, on the composition of the gas. I don't know, when we are speaking of biogas, there is CO2 and methane, but sometimes we are working on off gases, you know, exhaust gases from industrial. So we can speak of CO2, CO, H2, CH4, and so on. So either we are working on the catalyst, either we are working on the process scheme. Sometimes we have to remove and to purify the gas, maybe remove the CO2, remove whatever, so that to move because most of the reactions are equilibrated reactions, so we have to move in some sense. So either we work on the catalyst, either we work on the process scheme. And since we have several technological break, for instance, I was speaking of hydrogen. So we are able to make methanation, to produce hydrogen with a water gas shift, to do the reverse with a reverse water gas shift. We can do a lot of things. So we can also put several reactors so that to target what we want at the end.
I see a parallelism with Flexby, because we also do a lot of pre-processing before feeding the biogas in the field. So yeah, great.
Good. So I just wanted to make a question regarding the costs, because it's maybe it's too early in the two projects, but we need to put this question on the table regarding the cost of the feedstocks. I know that both of you, Tomas and Gracia, mentioned that the logistics and make it local make an impact. Have you a clear idea on how you need to calculate or make the accounting of the cost of these logistics to make the overall conversion process work out in terms of profitability? So do you have an idea on or an estimation on the, let's say, the actual cost of the feedstocks that will be available to fit let's say, these conversion routes?
I think that we have an idea, because before selecting our feedstock, you can do a deep analysis investigating all these things. For example, the logistic cost, the characteristics of your feedstock, or if you need pretreatment or not. And after, you can select one or another feedstock in function of this first analysis. But I think one factor that is for me is or shows high uncertainty is the price of the feedstock, because today the feedstock that we usually use in our technologies have not a price. This is an advantage for our economic viability, but this could be changed in the future. For example, new technologies emerge or other valorization plants will be interested in the same feedstock than us. In these cases, in the future, in future scenarios, the price, these feedstocks that now have not price, could be a price, and will have a price, and this could have a negative impact in the viability of our solution. Therefore, for me, the economic viability, now we can now what is the economic viability, one solution, taking account different factors, but in the future we can change for the price of the feedstocks, because now have not price, but in the future.
Yeah, I think, Eduard, you are touching a nerve here, right? The cost is the elephant in the room. So if we need to convince society to pay perhaps a bit more for a biofuel rather than our conventional fuel, you need to really make the numbers. So, well, I reckon the technologies are getting towards the direction to equilibrate the prices of the final end product, biofuel, compared to fossil fuel. Okay. Anyway, that's my vision as an academic. Now, let me go to the answer from Flexby perspective. So, the cost we are for our feedstock at the moment, the feedstock coming from dairy industry has no cost at all, zero cost, except from the transport. Okay, we pay only for the transport cost. Let us keep in mind that our philosophy here is to go local. So at the moment, the transport is within the same region in Spain, okay, at the moment. So the feedstock are produced in Asturias and are transported within Asturias, dairy industry. When it comes to microalgae, these are produced by our partner, Green Algae for Future in Portugal. And I don't have a figure in my mind really regarding the cost, but I assume they are also very cheap, because at the moment they don't have any other uses for this microalgae rather than valorization. And so this is also very low cost. Okay, let me say that we have a partner fully working on LCA, which is Green Delta in Germany, and I'm hoping to have more tangible data soon. But in principle, initial estimation, the cost of our feedstock is very low, as I said before.
Yeah, let me maybe point out also the perspective from Fuels-C on the whole fuels costing, because we are considering both the feedstock, but also the conversion efficiency and the cost of energy that we are utilizing, if it's renewable energy or not, depending on the scenarios, if we are having, let's say, surpluses of renewable energy, or we are utilizing energy at different prices. And we are, as I mentioned when I was presenting the project, we have different scenarios, and under the different scenarios, with the tools that Blue Energy is developing, we will calculate the actual cost of producing each fuel in each scenario. And as I see here, it's depending on the conditions, the different fuels will have a very different cost, and depending on the location where you want to produce, maybe it's not even worth considering producing one of the fuels, and you have to focus more on one of the fuels and try to skip the other ones. But you need to have all these tools to calculate and make the most let's say the most the most successful conversion route in terms of costing as well.
I totally agree, Eduard. And when I saw also a Fuels-C presentation from your side, and also having a look at Nuria's, one of the commonalities we have is flexibility. So you guys are targeting a variety of products, as we do, and our chemical technologies help us to direct the process to the right end products, depending on the season, depending on the cost, depending on the end user. So I think flexibility in this scenario must be one of the driving factors, certainly.
Yeah, I think that is one of the main outcomes that we should stay with after these discussions. Both projects are flexible in terms of the feedstocks and how we manage them to actually produce the fuels. And I just wanted to make a last question, because I know that we are running out of time, and maybe Ruben will blame on me for that. But I wanted to ask to Marion about the moment when you think that our technologies or any technology that needs or aims to convert biogenic residues into fuels needs to be considered before being implemented in a site. So a company like yours or similar to yours would be interested in adopting these technologies. Do you think it's enough to finish a project at TRL 5 to be really to raise awareness or interest from a company like yours, and to like start the let's say that the further scaling up?
So sorry, just can you repeat? So just
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that if as we envisage in both projects to finish at TRL 5, if it would be enough maturity of the technologies for a company like yours or similar to yours to adopt these technologies to assume the risk of a further scaling up, or you need to have like more let's say data that proving the maturity of the technology.
It's funny that you put us in a place saying that we are looking for mature technology, because in fact it's the opposite. We are working on with industrial that are looking to our technology, saying, okay, you are saying it's a TRL 8, but in our own scale, you are at TRL maybe 5 when we are speaking with major oil companies, for instance, that are used to use, let's say, mature technology with thousands of reference around the world. So in fact, we do have the same issues, and what we do first, we have, as I mentioned, we have a testing facilities with 5 pilot lines on different applications. So what we do with these industrial, saying that, okay, you are an innovative scale-up, it sounds really interesting, but how to be sure that it will work with our application, our own composition. So what we do is, since we have raised 17 million euros last year, it helped us to develop our testing facilities, all these pilots. And what we do is we perform tests, paid tests for this industrial for several hours. We will test their gas on our own facilities, so they have a report. They can go on site and see that it is working. It is really working. Prior going to demonstrator stage, where we have to involve they have to invest several millions for on-site demonstrator. So in fact, this for us, this is there are the industrial are the people that want to challenge us, so that to be sure that our technology is ready for future implementation. So today, for us, in fact, what we do in order to, because we can stand, I didn't mention that, but we stand as a technology provider, but we also stand as a project developer. Depending on the value chain, is we don't work on the, for instance, for gasification value chain, we don't work on gasification, we don't work on methane injection, so we all only be a technology provider. But for methanol production, for instance, we can invest ourselves in the units. This is what we will we will produce about 2,500 tons per year next year on a biogas unit. We invest ourselves in the industrial unit, so that not to be let's say, not to have to follow an industrial that want to challenge us and wait for that we are mature. Because as a startup, now we can say that we are a scale up. We don't have the time, we don't have the time to wait for 2-3 years that an industrial is enough reinsured that we have wonderful technology. So we have to go faster than them. So this is why we invest ourselves in our let's say in our unit, in the application. We trust them more, that we are sure that we are really let's say we have a differentiating factor on the market, so that to bypass these problems.
Okay, thanks. It's very interesting point of view, or how you address these questions. So thank you, Marion, again, and Tomas and Gracia, for your willingness to participate in this roundtable, and how we all have shared the different perspectives on these questions regarding the feedstocks mobilization, that it's crucial for our projects, and to have a perspective from an external to the two projects has been really valuable. So I think that we can conclude this section and jump to the Q&A sessions. And again, thank you for the three of you.
Thank you.
Many thanks to everyone.
The floor is yours now.
Many thanks, Eduard. So we have a question already here that was made, as far as I remember, during Nuria presentation, and the question goes like this. I will also put it on the chat. It is about on CO2 to fuel routes. Do you have some information on the purity to reach for capture CO2 in regards to catalysis sensitivity? Have you heard that some species can't be tolerated above ppb level?
Yeah,
So
go ahead, Nuria. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, no, just say that Tomas in particular is the best candidate to answer the question, because they are especially expert of this field. So Tomas, please.
Yeah, sure.
You sure.
Happy to jump in. This is well, I will need to actually revert the question back to someone in the audience, because just to be more specific, which species do you want to have in ppb level? I mean, if you are talking about sulfur, for example, yes, it's very right. Our catalysts typically can deactivate with sulfur at ppm level. We've developed catalysts able to tolerate ppb, but not ppm so far. Okay. Yeah, so when it comes to chlorine, for example, the trouble is not in the catalyst per se, but in the reactors, because they end up getting corroded. Okay. Yeah, that's are the main impurities. Then we may have heavy metals also, but not affecting the catalyst, but they're toxic, so they affect the process more than the catalyst.
Okay. So actually, coming a little bit on that question, I'd like to ask which type of contaminants are true showstoppers versus manageable. So you mentioned a little bit the heavy metals, and what low effort treatments are you using or can work in this settle. And also connecting a little bit with Marion, talked about ENERGO and the fact that the cold plasma steam reforming, it's a technology that is quite tolerant to both humidity and as far as I could understand, pollution as well. If this type of technology can act as a backstop for streams rejected by biological routes as well.
Well, so I reckon, Marion, you might, I mean, in the plasma, you generate a lot of radicals, right? So I wonder whether the radicals coming from contaminants like sulfur or chlorine would be damaging for the process, for the catalyst, or
now,
this is an interesting point. Thank you for bringing that up. It's also interesting for me as a catalysis person. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will have to ask to, of course, for technical people on ENERGO, but of course, we are working on a plasma catalysis, so we have plasma and catalyst, but we are still catalytic technology, so we don't really like H2S, but we can tolerate a small amount, for instance, on biogas unit when we are working on biogas, only activated carbon, it's okay. We can work with several ppm of H2S, and it's okay on our side. But if there is too much, of course we have to put an activated carbon, and it's okay. For chlorine and so on, I do know that we don't really like it. Also, we did some tests on laboratories, but I will have to check. It is a subject that we have to take, because we are working on value chain for on gasification, pyrogasification, hydrothermal gasification, and they can treat really dirty waste at CSR, so with a lot of contaminant. So we have to look at it. This is why, as I mentioned, we have testing facilities. We can recreate a contaminated gas, so that to see the impact on the performance of the catalyst.
Great.
Thank you. Tomas, do you want to?
I don't want to leave fully unanswered the initial question. So it has to do with the CO2 as a feedstock for fuel, right? So to make a long story short, if we manage to clean up the CO2 stream and capture CO2 and deliver CO2 as a reactant, then CO2 can be an excellent building block to create long chain hydrocarbons, okay? With all implications behind that. You need hydrogen to make CO2 react and to create the longer hydrocarbon change. And that brings up questions where hydrogen comes from, etc. But again, to make a long story short, clean CO2 with an optimized capture conversion process can be an efficient carbon pool for renewable fuels.
And just to complete that, we can valorize CO2 with hydrogen, as you mentioned, with a typical reaction of reverse water gas shift. But there is also CO2 plus methane, and what we can make dry methane by forming. So not always need for hydrogen on our side. It really depends on where we are. There is available hydrogen, but hydrogen most of the time it's quite costly. This is why we try to find other way to valorize CO2. And you are speaking of clean and well capture CO2. On our case, is quite interesting, because we are still working on CO2 with a small amount of nitrogen. We don't like nitrogen because it's not really a pollutant. It's an inert, so it will build up in the reactor and it will create big reactor. So it's not really economic in our point of view. But if we are looking on the full value chain, sometimes it can be interested to increase the capex on maybe on the ENERGO unit, because we have a bunch of nitrogen going through the reactor, so that to decrease the performance of the capture unit, because it's quite costly on the capex point of view, but most of the time on the energetic point of view with the amine and so on. So it's quite interesting to see the good, let's say the best nitrogen contained in the collected CO2 for the full value chain.
Great.
Eduard?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the approach on Fuels-C, because we are targeting also the CO2 conversion utilizing microorganisms as catalyst. And that has a particularity when we are comparing to chemical catalyst. So microorganisms can tolerate concentrations of hydrogen sulfide and other impurities like organic volatile compounds and other species. that can affect or can have an impact on chemical catalyst. So we are utilizing these microorganisms to convert CO2 into methane in the biogenic route. We are tackling or taking the CO2 the fraction of the CO2 present in the biogas coming out of the anaerobic digestion, and we are converting bioelectrochemically the CO2 into methane. And we have some experience prior to this Fuels-C project, where we have demonstrated that the microorganisms can tolerate these impurities. And on the other hand, on the non-biodegradable route, the University of Girona is developing on a fermentation process where microorganisms are being, let's say, electrostimulated to steer the production of ethanol. And they have a quite similar situation when it comes to the impurities effect on the microorganisms activity. It's different in the case of Vito, where they are working with electrolyzers that convert either pure CO2 streams or syngas streams into formic acid, where in this case the situation is quite similar to Flexby. There can be an effect of losing the catalytic activity over time, depending on the impurities that we are targeting. Just wanted to highlight this.
Yes, thank you, Eduard. Just mention also, talking about a Flexby project, that regarding the way of using the CO2 within the project, one of the potential use that we are addressing, or at least are studying, is the recirculate part of the CO2 that are obtained during the process into a physical activation of the biochar, the solid fraction that we obtain with CO2, because we can activate this decarbonaceous material with CO2. However, honestly, we are in the middle of this decision because we are facing some problems with the ash content, and that can maybe be difficult to achieve a good porosity of the final material. But the idea of when we create the proposal, it's try to recirculate the CO2 in the process as well.
Exactly. Just to follow up on Nuria, our target is to put all carbon in. Now, every carbon atom we get from the feedstock, we want to implement it in the Flexby process, either in the liquid fuels, in the gas fuel, or in the biochar that can end up being an activated carbon for catalysis. But I agree, Nuria, we are facing some troubles with the ash. Yeah. Well, it's an experimental project, right? So
I don't know if someone has more questions or more aspects to add. We are a little bit advanced on hour, not that much. If no one has more to add, I might go to the concluding remarks. Okay, so what I have to say, well, first of all, of course, thank you to all the speakers and the participants in the today's webinar. So today we kept our eye on these two projects, Fuels-C and Flexby, that I should remember not only have to go carbon neutral, but have to be also carbon negative, actually. So it's quite a challenge. So closing that loop demands flexibility. We heard a lot about flexibility, both in terms of processes and in terms of the feedstocks. We saw why the portfolio of feedstocks matters. So across roughly a dozen of streams that are being studied, from urban to industrial sewage to microalgae, fruit tree prunings, we are tackling the first order of challenge, which is availability. And then the second order would be chemical composition and biodegradability as well. So different processes want different feedstocks. The winning approach is matching smartly and switching when conditions change. And also adding a little bit on that, and this was mentioned by Eduard, the tools that are being created and studied under both projects So also Tomas referred the economic analysis, the LCA analysis that both projects are performing will also feed on the GIS tools and probably in the future enable a better modeling of the processes. So we know better to anticipate the costs and the benefits of having certain feedstocks or not. So we also learned from ENERGO that they use quite interesting technologies in the scope of what we are doing. The cold plasma with the steam reforming can bring this tolerance to impurities and humidity, which are tough constraints in the feedstock characterization. And that ability to reduce pre-treatment burdens can probably create a resilience to streams that come from biological routes that otherwise would be tough to handle. So that's it on our behalf. So on the behalf of the Fuels-C and the Flexby project teams, we thank you a lot for your time and contributions, and we'll please follow both projects in our social media, in our websites, and we will circulate follow-up materials and contact points. So we may in the future work together amongst us. And thank you again, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.